Hello to you. Yes, I'm outside with my girl Lily. Lily is a jungle carpet python. She's a beautiful girl, and that iridescence that you can see on her is just beautiful when it's out in the sun. But besides being out in the sun and capturing the iridescence that you can get, especially on a dark snake, it is absolutely spectacular. But I have brought Lily out because on my last video, I brought up the subject of all the lighting. There was a lot, you can use LEDs, but I would now specifically ask you to look at using the basking lights, the deep heat lamps, and also, of course, UVB. Now I'm outside and Lily is getting UVB naturally from the sun, and it to me is something that is really important for your snakes to get, and they're proving that it certainly is wonderful for their health. It is also helping in the prevention of respiratory infections in snakes as well. I can totally understand that. So why I thought I would explain a little bit more in depth, because there was a lot of information I threw in my last video about heating and of course the lighting, because heating can be your lights. That meaning your basking light is a heat source as well. So do you need your deep heat lamps on when the basking light is on? Well, no, you don't. Do you need UVB on? Yes, you do need to keep your UVB on for them during the daylight hours. We're looking at, say, between the 10:30 and the 4 p.m. at night. You can switch it off basically. But by using your deep heat and your basking lights and of course your UVB, if you're placing something such as a rock directly underneath the heat source, what is going to happen is that rock will heat up. So at night your snake will naturally go down to that rock and lay on that rock to absorb heat through their belly, which is a different level of heat source for them that they need. And of course during the day, your basking lights, your deep heat lamp, your deep heat lamp comes on at about 3-4 o'clock in the morning. That could switch on and start warming things up. And then of course your basking light comes on at around that 10:30, 11, so your heat lamp goes off and your basking and your UVB take over. Now when I say at night you can switch all the above heat off, your snake will go down to the rock and lay on the rock and absorb it through their belly. But if you live in an area that gets below 0 or gets below 20 overnight in the room, you cannot do that. You're going to have to sustain your deep heat lamp to provide ambient heat throughout the enclosure. I here do get down below 20 some nights, but not very rarely. And my house temperature, of course, Lily loves the garden, is never ever too cold anyway. So she's going to go straight back to that garden, because that's what Lily does, is gets her mindset and then that's it, wants to go straight back to the garden. So it's research what I'm talking about. Research about your timers. Buy timers for your light fittings and your heat source even. That way you can sit back and relax, I guess, and it will just come on and off when you've set the time for it. It's a little bit more complex, of course, than, just putting a thermostat, connecting your heating device, using a timer, and alot. The dimming one that I use does have an extra plug for lighting, so you can set the time for that. But some don't, so you're going to have another timer for that particular light, being your UVB. I did suggest only a 50 to 60 watt basking light that is warm enough for your snakes to go and bask up under. Of course, that deep heat light is something where they, like I said, will absorb right through their muscles and warm them up and get them ready to move, and very important for their digestive system as well. So when you're going out and you're saying to yourself, what does my snake really need? Like I said, just a heat source. The ability to thermal regulate within their enclosure, absolutely. So you need an enclosure that is big enough for them to move from one end, which would be the hot spot area of the temperature that your snake actually needs. And then they move over to the cooler end, which may drop down, 3 to 4 degrees lower than what it is over in the actual hot spot. And never let that cold end really, well, with my species of snakes, is anything below 20 and above. They'll manage quite fine with that. So don't, look at the cold end and go, oh, it's too cold over there. If it's too cold over there, they'll only go there for a certain amount of time, and then they're going to move back over and go up under their heat and warm up. They are smart enough to do that. So when you're setting up, please think about those 3 forms of heat and lighting in your snake's enclosures. And if you can do it, do it. Get it right from the very beginning. Set up for your snake exactly the way your snake would want it to be. Like I said, do your research. Find out about UVB and using basking lights and using the deep heat lamps. There's people out there that have got more information on it, other than the fact that I use it because I know how good it is for them. Of course, you can get just a normal infrared globe, which certainly gives off plenty of heat. That is your cheaper way to go, but certainly use a dimming thermostat with it. Otherwise, you're going to go through plenty of globes. The dimming aren't so harsh on your globes, and that's how I started out, with just the infrared heat lamps. My snakes are all okay, but all my snakes get to do this. They get to come out, they get to exercise, but of course they're older, but you can bring your little ones out. Just bring them out in a tub and let them see the world from a tub, which is much safer for them than just being plonked on the ground like I can Lily, who's been, she's a professional outside snake, I guess you could say. She also does utilise it for when she needs to go to the toilet. As I said, I've said in my videos many times, not in many lately, about toilet training and how that can be with your snake if you're willing to put the time in with them and are willing to get them outside when they need to go outside to go to the toilet. And you might do a lot of this as well, going into your garden and telling your snake, look, I know it looks like it might be real fun in there, and she's already pulling me to put her down to just scoot on back over there. But yeah, do your research on all the lighting, how to set it up, and how it all works. And yeah, I think you'll be surprised at the information out there now about all of this. So you all take care, and from Lily and me, before she gets back to that garden. Oh my goodness. At least there's no minor birds. Ciao.